The second my wife asked me to sit down, I knew something was off. Not because of some sixth sense or gut feeling, I've just seen this setup too many times before. That too casual smile, the way she nervously tucked her hair behind her ear, the restless energy rolling off her, it was textbook. She was gearing up to drop a bomb. I leaned back in my chair, set my beer down, and waited. So, she began, voice syrupy sweet, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. I've been doing a lot of thinking about us. There it was, the opening line to every relationship ambush ever. I kept my face blank, not giving her anything. I love you, she went on, reaching across the table to lay her hand over mine. I really do. I don't want to lose what we have. That line said it all. She wasn't leaving. No, she wanted something even more twisted. But I also feel like I need to explore. Like, meet new people. Have new experiences, she added, her fingers tapping out a jittery rhythm on the table. I didn't flinch. Just took another sip of my beer and stared at her. Let her twist in her own tension. So what are you saying? I finally asked. She exhaled like she was relieved I hadn't exploded. I want us to try opening the relationship, she said carefully, her eyes scanning mine for a hint of approval. Not because I don't love you, but maybe this could actually make us stronger, you know? She'd clearly bought into some fantasy, this idea that she could go explore while I stayed locked in as the dependable fallback. Like I'd just nod along, play the loyal husband role, and let her test the waters with other guys while keeping me on the hook. But I wasn't built like that. So, I said slowly, you want to sleep with other men? She bit her lip, then gave a small nod. Yes. But it's not about replacing you. It's about… I raised a hand. All right. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? Yeah, I said with a shrug, taking another drink. If you want to go try other guys, that's fine. I'll do the same. That way I'll know how you compare to other women. Her face went ghost white. What do you mean? I mean, I said, meeting her gaze, if you're out there testing the market, I should probably do some comparisons too. Just to make it fair. She winced barely, but I saw it. That was the moment she realized I wasn't playing the part she'd scripted for me. She'd imagined me staying home, waiting patiently while she chased other connections. Always reliable. Always hers. But now? That picture had cracked wide open. You'd compare me? She asked, her voice suddenly shaky. I nodded. Of course. How else would I know if I'm settling? Her jaw tightened, but she forced a smile. That's not what this is about, she said quickly. It's not a competition. Isn't it? I pushed. You're basically saying you need to find out if you're missing out on something better. That's a comparison by definition. So if you're evaluating me against other men, it's only fair I do the same. She blinked, caught off guard. I don't want you with other women. I smiled. Oh? Why not? Because that's not what this is, she said, her tone rising. I just want to have broader experiences. It doesn't mean our relationship has to change. I let out a dry laugh. You want to sleep around and still keep me in place like nothing happened? It's not just about sex, she protested. Of course it is, I said flatly. You wouldn't even be bringing this up if there wasn't already someone in the picture. That one hit home. She went pale for a second before collecting herself. That's not true. I leaned forward, elbows on the table. Who is he? She froze. What? You're not asking about hypotheticals. You already have someone in mind. Just admit it. She said nothing. And in her silence, I got every answer I needed. So who is he? I asked again. She bit her lip hard this time. That nervous tick was all the confirmation I needed. That's not fair, she muttered. Life's not fair, I shot back, standing up from the table. You just thought you could write the rules and I'd fall in line. Now that they apply to you too, suddenly it's different. She jumped up, frustration flickering behind her eyes. This isn't how I wanted this to go. I smirked. Yeah, I bet. Her arms crossed over her chest. So what? You're just going to throw away everything we've built because I tried to have an honest conversation? I let that hang in the air for a second. No, I said finally. I'm not the one throwing anything away. You are. She inhaled sharply, and in that second I saw it. Panic. Not just surprise, but actual fear. Fear that she'd lost control of the situation. She'd come into this thinking she'd navigate the whole thing, like she'd introduced the idea, I'd push back a little, and then she'd coax me into agreement with soft words and empty reassurances. But I hadn't followed her script. And now she didn't know what to do. The room went quiet, thick with tension. Her face gave away nothing, but her grip on that water glass said more than words ever could. Her plan was unraveling fast. I just don't get why you're reacting like this, she said at last, voice even but strained. This wasn't about replacing anyone. It was just about new experiences. I leaned back in my chair, swirling the last bit of beer at the bottom of the bottle. Sure, I said casually. And maybe I've been too close-minded. Maybe it's time I open myself up to see what's out there. Just to really appreciate what I've got at home. Her mouth opened. Then shut. That's not the same, she stammered. Oh? How's it different? Because she trailed off, shaking her head. I don't want to lose us. I laughed. Not a bitter laugh, a real one. The kind that comes when the hypocrisy's just too much to ignore. Lose us? You're the one who brought this up. You're the one who tossed us onto the chopping block. I'm just saying, if you want to explore, then I get to explore too. That's fair, right? She didn't answer. And she didn't have to. The silence said it all. She hadn't expected this. Not even close. Over the next few days, something shifted. Her demeanor changed. Suddenly, she was more affectionate, her kisses lingered longer, her hugs a little tighter. She started getting home earlier after months of late nights and vague explanations. Even the way she dressed changed, less flashy, more reserved, almost like she was trying to undo something without admitting it out loud. I pretended not to notice. But the first real crack? That came one evening when she walked in and caught me on the couch, casually scrolling my phone. Who are you texting? She asked, trying to sound offhand. I raised an eyebrow. Why do you care? She hesitated. Just asking. Just a friend, I said, letting a small smirk tug at the corner of my mouth. Why? Worried I'm comparing. Her breath hitched. Right there, in that tiny pause, I saw it, the war going on inside her. She'd expected me to beg, to plead, to cling. Instead, I played her game. And now? She didn't know how to handle it. Later that night, she tried to initiate something. Out of nowhere, like she was trying to reclaim lost territory. It felt forced, desperate. I turned her down. The look on her face? Priceless. But you always want to, she said softly, sitting up in bed like she couldn't understand the world anymore. I just shrugged. Not in the mood. She barely slept after that. And as for the other man? The truth she still wouldn't say out loud? I had no doubt. Women don't just float the idea of open relationships for fun. They test the waters. She had someone in mind. Maybe they hadn't acted on it yet, or maybe they had. Either way, the intent was there. So I did what any man in my shoes would do. I started digging. She thought she was being subtle, calculated, but she wasn't nearly as careful as she believed. A couple password resets, some location tracking, and a favor from a friend in IT later, and I had a name. Ethan. Coworker. Single. A few years older than me. Not a total stranger, I'd met him once at one of her work events. Shook his hand. Made small talk. The whole time, he was probably picturing my wife in his bed. The anger hit me like a wave, but I didn't let it take control. This wasn't about blowing up. This was about strategy. About shifting the game. So I didn't confront her. Not yet. I let her keep thinking I was still on board with her little, enlightened idea. And while she basked in her imagined freedom, I made sure she got a taste of her own medicine. A week later, over breakfast, I casually mentioned I had plans that night. Plans, she echoed, stirring her coffee a little too aggressively. Yeah, I said, not looking up. Just grabbing drinks. A friend's introducing me to someone. Her spoon hit the side of the mug with a sharp clatter. You're going on a date? I smiled. Wouldn't call it a date. Just seeing what's out there. She swallowed hard. I could almost see the gears turning behind her eyes. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She hadn't expected me to take her open relationship idea and actually use it to benefit myself. That night, I walked out without a backward glance. I wasn't meeting anyone. Didn't have to. The point was the doubt. When I got back, she was still up, sitting stiff on the couch. How was your night? She asked, trying to sound nonchalant. Good, I replied, simple and flat. Her fingers clenched the edge of a throw pillow. Did you meet someone? I let a slow, knowing smirk spread across my face. Why do you care? Her mouth opened like she had something to say. But nothing came out. For the first time since this all started, she was the one left in limbo. And that's when everything shifted. The days that followed were different tense. She started texting more. Asking where I was, what I was doing. She made my favorite meals, wore the perfume I used to compliment, started trying to bring back old routines she had long since abandoned. But I didn't give her what she wanted. No validation. No reassurance. I let her twist in it. That uncertainty? It was something she wasn't used to. And it was eating her alive. The confidence she'd carried, the smug surety, was gone. Replaced by desperation she couldn't quite mask. She tried to cover it up with forced smiles, clumsy attempts at intimacy, little gestures she thought I'd find sweet or nostalgic. But I saw right through it. It wasn't about love. It was about control. And she was losing it. Then came the first real crack. She cooked a fancy dinner. Candles, music, even cracked open the expensive wine we'd been saving for a special occasion. She was pulling out all the stops. We sat across from each other like actors in a bad play. "So," she said, twirling her fork, "who is she?" I looked up from my plate, playing dumb. "Who?" She let out a laugh, but it was hollow, forced. "Come on. The woman you went out with the other night. The one you've been texting." I let a sly grin creep onto my face. "Why does it matter?" Her grip tightened on the fork. "Because I think it's ridiculous that you're actually." She caught herself. Exhaled. Regrouped. "I just think we need to be careful with all this." "All this?" I echoed. "You know what I mean," she said, avoiding eye contact, suddenly interested in everything except my face. "We don't want to make decisions we'll regret." I leaned back, watching her closely. "You mean like opening the marriage?" She flinched. "Just slightly. But enough." "I didn't mean it like that," she blurted, quick and defensive. "Maybe we rushed into this." There it was, the first crack in her grand plan. The backpedal. She wanted out, but not with honesty. She was hoping for a soft landing. Too bad I wasn't offering one. Ethan panics. The next day, the fallout really began. My phone rang 3 times from a blocked number before I finally picked up. "Hello?" Silence. Then a voice I recognized. "Ethan. We need to talk," he said, voice tight, controlled. I smirked. "Do we?" He exhaled sharply on the other end. "Listen, man. I don't want any trouble." I didn't know. "Didn't know what?" I cut in. "That you knew," he admitted. "She told me it was complicated. That you guys were working through things." He stopped. I don't care what she told you," I said, calm and even. "What matters is what's happening now. And what's happening now is that she's realizing just how badly she screwed up." Another breath. Then, softer, Are you going to tell her you know?" I chuckled. "What do you think?" Silence. Then in a strained whisper, "She's been different lately. Distant. Nervous. I think she's second-guessing everything." Of course she was. "Not my problem," I said. "You got involved. Now you're involved." "Look," he said quickly, "I just don't want this blowing back on me." There it was. The real reason for the call. He didn't care about her. He was just afraid of the consequences. "Guess we'll see," I said, then hung up. She breaks. That night, everything boiled over. I was on the couch, casually scrolling through my phone, pretending to text, when she stormed into the room. "Who is she?" she demanded. I didn't even look up. "What?" She yanked the phone from my hand. "You heard me," she snapped. "Who is she? Who have you been seeing?" I leaned back, calm. Watched her scroll through messages she'd never understand. There was nothing to find. There never had been. "You really don't like this feeling, do you?" I said. She looked up, a mix of anger and confusion in her eyes. "What are you talking about?" I stood, towering over her. "The not knowing. The doubt. That pit in your stomach that maybe you're not as irreplaceable as you thought." She swallowed hard. "You were fine when you thought I'd sit back and let you have your fun," I continued. "But now that the shoe's on the other foot, you can't handle it." Her breath hitched. I leaned in, voice low. "Tell me, did you ever actually want an open relationship? Or did you just want to cheat without consequences?" Her lips parted. But she had nothing to say. I nodded. "Exactly. The final card." I gave it 2 more days. 2 days of silence. 2 days of watching her unravel. Then I played my final hand. She came home to find an envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside, every message between her and Ethan. Hotel bookings. Call logs. And a neatly drafted separation agreement. She walked into the living room with the envelope clutched in both hands, her fingers trembling. "You knew," she whispered. I took a slow sip of my drink. Of course I knew. Her eyes filled with tears. "Since when?" I shrugged. "Long enough." She sucked in a breath. "So, what now?" I exhaled. "You've got a choice. Sign that agreement and walk away with some dignity. Or drag this out and make it ugly. Your call." Her face crumpled. "I don't want to lose you." I let out a dark chuckle. "Funny. You didn't seem too worried about that when you were sneaking around with Ethan." She broke, body racked with a sob. But I didn't move. She had expected me to be the fallback. The man who'd wait. Instead, I made sure she understood she was never the prize. She clutched the papers, hands white-knuckled, scanning the evidence, realizing her little fantasy life was over. "I can fix this," she whispered. I almost laughed. "Fix what?" Her voice cracked. "Us." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean that us you were ready to toss aside for a fling with Ethan? That us?" She looked down. "I wasn't trying to replace you." "No," I said. "You just wanted me to sit quietly while you went looking for something better. Keep me in your back pocket. Just in case. And now? Now she knew exactly what just in case looked like. She didn't respond. That silence told me everything. She had expected me to beg, to plead, to try and save something she had already burned to the ground. But I never gave her the satisfaction. I just stood there and let her fall on her own sword. The last attempt. She tried one more time. Her voice softened, reaching for that old warmth she used to wrap around me when she wanted something. I was stupid, she said. I see that now. I don't want anyone else. Just you. I shook my head. No, I said coldly. You don't get to say that. Tears filled her eyes. Why not? Because you weren't saying it before you realized I could actually replace you. She started to sob. I cut her off. You made your bed. Now you get to lie in it. Alone. That was it. She broke right there, collapsed into a chair, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was the weight of finally realizing she had gambled everything and lost. She had believed she held all the power. That no matter what she did, I'd be waiting. That I'd cling to the idea of US while she explored her options. She was wrong. The affair partner falls apart. And she wasn't the only one spiraling. The next morning, my phone rang again. Blocked number. I picked up. I swear, man, I didn't mean for this to happen, Ethan stammered before I could even speak. She told me you were cool with it. That it was all mutual. I chuckled. So you believed a married woman who wanted to cheat on her husband? Silence. I didn't know she'd fall apart like this, he said eventually, voice cracking. She came to my place last night. Crying. Saying you were divorcing her. Saying it was my fault. I smirked. And? I can't have this blow up in my face, he said. I have a reputation. I work with her. If this gets out. I cut him off. You should have thought about that before sleeping with another man's wife. He exhaled shakily. Look, man. I don't want trouble. Maybe we can work something out? Maybe you don't go through with the separation? I hung up. The final nail. That afternoon I handed her the official separation paperwork. She stared at it like it was written in a foreign language, her eyes empty, hands shaking as she flipped through the pages. I don't want this, she whispered. I leaned back. It's not your choice anymore. She had wanted options when she pitched opening the marriage. Yeah? She had none. I can't do this without you, she said, her voice cracking. You thought you could, I said, calm. Please, she begged. I'll end it with Ethan. I'll prove to you that I still love you. I smiled faintly. You already proved everything I needed to know. She gasped. Her world was crashing down in real time. You thought you had the upper hand, I continued. That I'd be too weak to walk away. That I'd just sit around waiting for you to decide if I was good enough. She shut her eyes tight, shaking. But guess what? I said. I already made the decision. For both of us. She collapsed. It was over. The illusion of control, the arrogance, the security blanket she thought she had in me, it was gone. She had spent so long evaluating me, comparing me, thinking she could always do better. She never once thought I might do the same. Now she knew the truth, she didn't measure up. The aftermath. I followed through with the separation. She tried to stall it, tried to fix things, but it was too late. I wasn't playing her game anymore. She didn't just lose me. Ethan bailed too scared of the fallout to stay involved. She lost the affair, the home, the security, the future she thought she could control. She wanted to explore her options. Now she had nothing left but the consequences. As for me, I moved on. Not out of revenge. Not to prove a point. I moved on because I finally saw my own worth. And I knew deep down something I should have realized long ago. She was never worth comparing. She was never even in the running.